Hi there, I'm Haruka. It's that time of year again, the birds are returning north, the flowers are blooming, and the greater Chicago area has entered second winter. Anyway, with this comes the spring anime season. Honestly, the concept of watching anime seasonally has fascinated me since I first started my journey into weebdom, and I've always tried to at least have one seasonal show I pay attention to. This last season was pretty stacked, but I'll talk about that in another week or so when I finish watching everything. For now, let's talk previews of some upcoming anime. Let's start out with a group of shows that I'm kind of obligated to talk about. I'm probably not going to watch these shows, maybe even ever, but you should at least know they're coming out because they seem popular. First, there's Boku no Hero Academia sliding in with its 5th season. I've only ever seen season 1, and I'm not in a rush to watch anymore. If you like it, that's cool. I hope you enjoy this season. I'm just gonna be waiting around here for more Miracle Ludes. Then there's some sequels. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord and Zombieland Saga are getting 2nd seasons. Both are shows that I'll probably have to get around to watching at some point, but it won't be this season. Demon Lord sounds like an isekai, and technically Zombieland might be an isekai because they died and became something new? Anyway, solid comedy for those of you who've seen the 1st season. Then we get to Eden Zero. So, story time. I wasn't into anime until like a year after I graduated high school, but I wanted to get into it way back when I was a freshman in high school. So I asked for suggestions and I got one to watch Fairy Tail. And I did. I watched 3 seasons. And when I finished the 3rd season, I realized I did not care at all about any of the characters. I remember pretty much nothing except for Urza's costume changes. I think that the taste it left in my mouth is what kept me away from anime for almost 4.5 years afterwards. So yeah, this is apparently just Fairy Tail in space, written by the same person who made the original Fairy Tail. I'm not gonna watch this. Alright, time for some shows that I actually do have some interest in this season. I might watch these shows, but more than likely I'll wait until it finishes airing and I'll watch it in one go while I play Football Manager. Sento in Hakenshimasu is a light novel from the writer who did Konosuba, so it's likely to be a genre parody again. However, this won't be directed by Takeomi Kanazaki, who is the legend that I always bring up that made Konosuba so remarkable and Princess Connect a masterclass in an adaptation that is better than the source material. It's got a cyber fantasy look to it rather than the straight isekai fantasy of Konosuba, so it's probably not a rehash. We'll see what happens. Here's this anime with a complicated title, but luckily it's abbreviated to Osomake. It looks like a nice cute rom-com with a childhood friend trying to claim her spot as the winning girl of this anime. It's soft and fluffy, which is good, but it's also worrying because shows of this aesthetic usually don't stick around too long in the minds of weebs. But hey, cute is cute and you take it when you can get it. Lastly in this category is Koi to Yobu ni wa Kimochi Warui, also known as Koikimo. Every day I try to chase that high I felt reading Domestic Nakanojo, and this is my Hail Mary play at something that might get similar spice levels? It's a womanizing CEO who somehow gets involved with his sister's best friend who also happens to be in high school. This will either be an okay hit or a complete and utter failure, and honestly I might be cheering for it to be a failure so I can rip on it. Now for some shows that I knew nothing about before actually researching the season that now I really want to watch at least one episode. The first one is Burning Kabaddi. It's a sports anime, so while it's not a girls do sports anime, I still feel somewhat obligated to look at it. It's also about a really niche Indian sport, Kabaddi. I looked it up on Wiki, read through the article, and I still understand nothing about it, so I might just watch the first few episodes so I can learn what the sport even is. As for a show I'll spend more time on, there's... Nope, I'm not reading that whole name. Apparently this one can just be referred to as Slime 300. Last year, Bofuri was the cute video gamey slice of life, and I'm going to place my bets on this anime as the same sort of thing this year. A nice office lady dies from overwork and gets reincarnated into a cute witch in a fantasy world. Instead of trying to become powerful, she just sort of lives a quiet life, killing slimes only when she needs money to pay for living expenses. Problem: given enough time, you're gonna kill enough slimes to make you the most powerful being in the world. So yeah, this is about the witch accidentally realizing that she's done that. I just like the idea of an isekai where the main character doesn't want to be an adventurer and just tries to integrate into the world they've ended up in. Next is a show that I'm actually really interested in called Higurashi Wasuru, Soshite Joshikosu wa Hiro. A depressed office worker lets a runaway high school girl crash at his place. Despite her offering to pay with sexual favors, he insists that all she needs to do is help out around the house. I think a lot of people are going to take this show the wrong way, and it's unfortunate because I really love this concept. I've always believed that one of the best things in writing is a little something I'd like to call Chekhov's condom. I'm actually planning a video on this concept in full sometime next week, but the basics is that by having sex be a real and possible outcome in a story, you create tension by not acting on it. I just really want this to be what I wanted Yesterday wa Utate to be, an adult story about learning to exist in a world you feel unprepared for. And now for some shows that I actually have some prior knowledge of and I'm absolutely recommending to you, the viewer. First is a Netflix anime, Goku Shufuro. I only know about this manga through memes, and they are very good memes. Honestly, it doesn't have a lot to it. It's just a story about an ex-yakuza settling down and becoming a house husband. But hilarity ensues because the man clearly only knows how to be intimidating and not how to ask the nice grocery store clerk where the flour is. Now for a somehow controversial anime, Don't Bully Me Nagatoro. I don't know what everyone's problem with this one is. I mean, even if I didn't agree with it, I knew why people didn't like Usagi-chan, but this one is just beyond me. But at the very least, I really like the manga for Nagatoro, and Nagatoro as a character is incredibly fun. I'm unsure of how far into the manga the anime will go, but it'll be interesting to see how they handle some of the more interesting visual humor when Nagatoro goes into full cat mode. Also, here's Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun Season 2. I slept on this when the first season came out, but I eventually watched it and really enjoyed it. All the characters are really vibrant, and I just really want to see more of Amari. Like, she's tall and thick, and there's not enough fan art of her, and I need more. Anyway, the story for this season is that Iruma turns evil. This is something that was teased at the end of the first season, so like everything, we'll see where it goes. Next is another sequel, Megalo Box Nomad. To be honest, Megalo Box is one of those anime where I don't think it needs a second season. There's a lot of anime that people clamor for season 2s of, and while there's plenty of good shouts that need to be completed, I think that Megalo Box was an insular enough story that it could have stayed where it was. But it feels like the writers behind the season understood that concept, and instead of it being a Rocky movie again, this will be more like the 2008 film The Wrestler. Joe has somehow found himself back at the bottom of the boxing world, and that's about all we know at this point. It will probably be a story of him going back for one more win at the top, but it'd be much more interesting to see it actually take a route similar to The Wrestler. And finally, the show that I'm absolutely most excited for this coming season is Sayonara, Watashi no Kramer. I could spend the next 20 minutes talking about how much I love this manga, so I'm going to save all that for a video next week. All I'll say now is that it's written by the guy who wrote Your Lie in April and deals with girls soccer in a way that I haven't really seen any other soccer anime or girls sports anime deal with the subject. There's supposed to be an accompanying prequel movie this month, but that was pushed back due to 2020 things. But the show is still set to premiere in this anime season. I hope you'll all watch my video about the manga when it comes out next week, so you'll all know why I'm recommending it so hard. So that's all the shows I really care about this season, or at least the ones I feel are worth talking about. There's other shows out there, but I probably won't even give them any thought unless they really come out of nowhere to make something happen. If you've got any thoughts on the shows I mentioned or didn't mention, please say something in the comments. Otherwise, it's time to go watch some anime.